Hey there, honey bunnies. Welcome to episode 62, or maybe 63. I'm not sure. I should have looked first. Let's call this episode What If You Never Make Any Money? What? Who wants to even think about that? Oh, and this, by the way, is the Sovereign Storytellers podcast with your host, Michelle Wolf. I have a cold. I apologize for I'm hoping that I get through here without sneezing. I do have my thumb on the pause button in case I feel the sneeze coming. I hope not to torture you with that, but just in case. Anyway, what if you never make any money doing what you're doing? I heard this question the other day. Would you rather make Let's see. Would you keep doing what you're doing if you only ever made like 1,000 a month? To be honest, sometimes a regular 1,000 a month would be super awesome sauce for me. Because everything, when you're in business for yourself, income is so wildly unpredictable sometimes. But let's say you're never going to make more than 1,000 a month. And that's not enough to cover your living expenses, which I'm assuming if you live in America and you are not living in a van down by the river eating government cheese, that 1,000 a month is probably not going to cut it for you. It's probably not going to do it. Not more than the bare minimum anyway. So how about it? Would you keep doing it? If you knew that it was never going to be sustainable as a business, for whatever reason, who knows? Sometimes we get in such a tangle, don't we? You all know I'm as guilty as everybody else of focusing all my waking thoughts on how am I going to make this business sustainable? What can I do today to market better? Maybe I need to read some more. Maybe I need to take another class. Ugh. Okay, maybe this is the month that I tackle sales funnels. I'm gonna do it. I've just already accepted that unless somebody waltzes in here and does a sales funnel for me, it's probably not gonna happen because, man, I'm telling you, what a snore. I sit down to look at that stuff and I'm just like, yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. Anyway, it doesn't have to happen, right? You need to do whatever marketing or business related things feel good to you and nothing else, because nothing ever comes from misery marketing. Marketing because you think you have to. Being on social media because you think you have to. You know who says you have to be on social media? People who sell classes that teach you how to be on social media. Social media as a marketing tactic hasn't been around that long, and darned if we haven't had businesses way before that. It's an illusion, and I'm real bad about getting caught up in it. Like, if I'm not on the internet, how am I gonna, get clients? Get clients. That's another thing. What if you completely stopped trying to get a client? That energy, we're raised on it, right? And it makes sense to the brain. Well, if you need a carton of milk, well, then you go get it. If you need a cat, you just stand on your porch and they just come to you. Out of the woods, cats, they just come. That damn stray is still here. You know what I mean, though? We're action oriented. If we need something, well, then we just go get it. And we've applied that to everything. If you need a partner, well, then you just go get one. Doesn't work like that, as anyone will tell you who has gone a hunting for a partner or a client. There's a difference in being in the energy of getting clients versus being in the energy of allowing clients. This is the difference between finding or being found. Yesterday, I was on a call with Dana Wild to talk to some celebrity formula people who are considering taking her program, which it's open, but I think the spots may already be full. I don't know. Um, if you want to know about that, let me know. But it's the celebrity formula with Dana Wild, Wilde, and it's a great, great, great course to take, and it has a great group afterward for support. But someone was saying on there yesterday, a prospective student, that she didn't want to sell herself, that she'd tried that and it was awful. And I was like, well, yeah, it's awful, because we get this perception that we have to sell ourselves. Well, that doesn't feel very good. But effective marketing, or it has been in my case, is sharing yourself. The difference between selling yourself and sharing your passions. Showing up frequently, all the time, telling people what you're doing and how you feel about it. Sharing pictures and little snippets and things that are in your world. I'm constantly doing something. I mean, if you look on my Instagram, you're going to see all kinds of stuff. The latest of which is like vegan recipes. Before that, it was spoon carving. Still carving spoons. That's loads of fun. I'm not being sarcastic. It really is lots of fun to carve wood. Anyway, so what would you do? Would you keep doing it? So I asked myself that question because at the end of every year, as we do, we tend to start evaluating how the year go and what are we going to do for 2020. And I heard that question and I was like, God, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep going, averaging, not enough? If that's the way 2020 is going to be. Now, I don't suggest that you say that. Well, if 2020 is going to look anything like 2019, I don't think I want to keep going. But if that's your answer, then what you're doing is not your passion. You know how I'm always like ragging on, you don't have a purpose. Your purpose is whatever you want it to be. But if you're on passion, you're on purpose. If you're focused on your passion and experiencing things that light you up every single day, that's a passion. So the answer to that question, would you keep doing it if it never made any money, would be an automatic yes. Would you keep coaching if it never made any money? Yeah. Because I don't know when I was ever anything but that. Like, I was just born like this. Social worker, therapist, helper, all the time, just came out that way. That's just how I hatched. So, of course, I would keep doing it, whether it makes money or not, because it's so much of who I am. But if you're selling oils or Norwex or teaching marketing classes or 7 easy steps to this or that, would you keep doing it if you knew right now that it was not going to be sustainable income? Maybe some income, maybe like take a few vacations or invest in some stocks or something, like fun money, like extra money, but you'd have to get a job for your regular paycheck. Steve Jobs used to say he'd look in the mirror every morning and ask himself if he still loved what he was doing or if he still wanted to go. I'm going to screw it up, but basically he's like, do I still want to do what I'm doing today? And if the answer to that question was no more than 3 days in a row, then he knew he had a problem. There's always going to be some days where you're like, fuck this noise. I'm out. I am done. I hate you, essential oils. Like, like there's always days where you're like, I don't know if this is worth it. But that should be a day, maybe two, when you don't feel good or the moon is doing something moony. If the answer to that is no more than 3 days in a row, you got a real problem, and it behooves you to address it, because having a problem like that tangles everything up. I think this is a good question for the end of the year. What if it never makes any money? There's programs that I beta tested and didn't keep because if they weren't making money, or if it looked like it was going to be a hard sell, I didn't want to do it. And that was a real quick way for me to know that it was out of alignment and I shouldn't be doing it. If the answer is like, well, yeah, if that's not going to make a profit, no thanks. Easy off the website. We get asked that question in I think I've heard it before, probably several different places. When you're trying to figure out what your niche is or what you should be doing, then you ask yourself, well, what would you do even if you never got paid for it? So as I'm saying this out loud, it's a different variation on that question, but it's still a good one. What do you do? What would you do all day even if you never got paid for it? I would learn. I haven't quite yet figured out how to get paid for learning, except that a lot of the stuff I've learned, I do turn around and teach, and that does bring in an income. I haven't made money on my artwork lately, but I haven't been promoting it either. So all I do learning, I do the learning. I do the learning thing every day, all my life. What do you do every day that it's so easy for you, you don't even think twice about it. It's a thing you do. It's who you are, right? Are you always talking to people? Maybe a podcast with interviews is a good idea for you. Side note, if Hardy Haberland, good one to follow, Haberland. I got asked the other day if I was keeping a list of all this, and I don't, because the podcast is just a thing I do. I do promote it, but I don't keep notes. Someday when I have a podcast producer person that I send the file off to and they do something with it, there'll be better show notes. But for now, you're just going to have to re-listen and, write the names down as you hear them. Because often I'm doing these in the car too. And for some reason, Libsyn won't let you type directly into the description box. It's weird. For the box that goes to iTunes, I can, but not for any of the others. It's bizarre. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. And this is not to say that what you would do all day for free and what you do now all day for free because you just love it should be monetized, because sometimes that's the fastest way to kill something, is to attach a dollar amount to it. Lots of people love making craft things, but when you attach a dollar amount to it, their creativity seizes up, and there's a lot of work to do around that. Also, for very detailed handmade things, it's a little bit hard to get financially compensated at a fair rate. People don't want to pay the hundreds of dollars that handmade quilts should be sold at. Because, well, I can go to Walmart and buy a blanket for $1. Well, not a blanket that's an heirloom. You can't. You can go to Walmart and buy a blanket for $1 that was made by tiny children in China. If you can feel good about that, then go right ahead. Same thing for, people who work with wood. I used to know this man who did these intricate wood chip carvings and all these things in wood, but he didn't sell them because he couldn't get the price that felt good to him, so he just did them as gifts and just for fun. So there's that. So just because you love making jewelry doesn't mean that you should open an Etsy shop. But if you do love making jewelry and you've got stacks of it laying around and you're not sure what to do with it, maybe an Etsy shop is a good little side hustle for you. But then would you feel bad if you weren't making money? So the second part of this is how we define success. Earlier this year, I went through a huge, existential angsty thing over success. It's similar to this. Like, what if this business never pays all the bills? What if it just doesn't ever do it? And I was feeling like such a loser because it doesn't, and it has never. And there's periods of time, like I said, where it'll come in a chunk, but over the course of a year, it pays for itself for sure, and some, but it's not at the level I want it to be. Let's just say it that way. It's not at the level I want it to be. And I was really doing a number on myself about that, because I had heard somebody I like say, well, if it's not making a profit, then it's not a business, it's a hobby. And I was like, I'm working awfully hard for a hobby. I don't like that. It doesn't feel good to me to call this a hobby. And also, point taken, it's not building revenue according to the way you would think a business. You know what I mean? So I had to reframe. Excuse me for coughing in your ear. I had to reframe success. I had to take a good hard look at that. Like, really, is money going to be my only measure of success? I already stopped measuring my physical success by the number on the scale or by what size clothing I wear. I already let that go. So why am I still handing my power over to numbers in the bank and using that as a decision point of, am I going to feel good today or not? Am I going to feel successful today or not? Am I going to feel like I'm contributing to the world today or not, based on what the number in the bank says? When I really took a good hard look at it, I was like, that's a devastating way to live. To every month feel like a failure. You might not be as extreme. You probably aren't if you're not a Scorpio. Right? Or a bitter projector. So, how are you measuring success? Like, what if your business never does the numbers that you think it ought to be doing? Are you going to be okay with that? And if it's not there yet, are you using that as a way to stay stuck in your familiar bad feeling place? Are you using it as a way to generate stories and make it all your fault, or tell yourself a bunch of bunk about it so that you can feel bad or feel like a victim or like everybody else gets what they want? Or I must be stupid, or whatever your particular brand of story love is. Because if it's hung on a number and it never reaches that number and you're going to use that to feel devastated, then you might as well just stop now. Because that's see, when we talk about it and when we look at it, we're like, that is insane. And if we had a friend that was doing it, we'd be like, why are you hitting yourself in the head with a hammer? Excuse me, Marge. You're hitting yourself in the head with a hammer, and that's why you have a headache. Wouldn't we be like, hey, Marge, I don't know, call me crazy, maybe you ought to put the hammer down. I'm just saying, it's just a suggestion, right? But while we're criticizing Marge, we're standing there hitting ourselves in the head with our own hammer, and we don't see it. Oh, we're so funny. So, Two things then. Would you keep doing what you're doing today if you knew it was never going to cut it financially? And two, how are you measuring success? Are you measuring success? Are you measuring, I get to feel good about what I'm doing in the world if the dollar amount is there, then I get to feel good. I get to feel successful. That's a trap. If the dollar amount is whatever the dollar amount is, I get to feel good because I choose to feel good. It's different. So I just realized I lost track of a point I was trying to make earlier. The lady who said, I've tried selling myself and it doesn't work. I don't like it. Oh, no, I did do it. See, if I had taken cold medicine, can you imagine? Nobody would be able to track this podcast. I forgot I already did. Yeah. So it's the difference between, and that applies to your product too. If you're trying to sell your product, that's when you get the ucky yucky vibe. But if you're like, I'm doing this thing and it's so awesome and it feels so good and it helps people, and you're sharing your excitement and your passion about that. Yeah, that's not yucky. How could it be? Because you're just overflowing with this awesome energy and you're just sharing the wealth of the energy. You're not trying to make a sale so you can make your car payment, which I've definitely done, and it's gross. It doesn't work. People will tell you it works. We'll just send out, just cold call a few people or whatever. Nope. That only works if you're a manifester. So if you're a human design manifester and you want to initiate and make things happen that way, go balls to the walls, my friend, because that's what you're set up to do. That's what you're designed to do. But the rest of us schmucks have to do it different. We have a little different road to hoe. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of the year. People are already planning for 2020. I've already got the first half of the year planned out. And yes, I would keep doing this if it never paid me money. The podcast doesn't make me money. The podcast costs me money. And I can't imagine not ever doing it because I love it. And it helps people. And it's relatively easy to do. Because I don't pay an engineer or a sound person to fix all the mistakes like me coughing in your ear and whatnot. Sorry, bro. Would I keep coaching if it never makes money? Yes. Of course. Of course I will. Now, the follow-up question is then what do you do to make money then if your chosen mission at the moment is not making an income? Well, that's a tougher one. You might have to take a little junk job or something. By the way, the census is hiring census people. That actually pays pretty good. But you know what I mean? Like you might have to bite the bullet and go find something else just to stay afloat. Which sometimes, for some people, it doesn't work this way for me. And it might not for other projectors or people with a lot of open centers. But for some people, taking that little junk job gets your focus off of making. Watch your language. I need to get clients. I got to make my business. Watch your language. That's tangled up energy in that. I got to go get clients. Clients aren't a gallon of milk. You can't just go down to the client store and get some. You got to share your passion and light yourself up. Your aura is your advertising. So what are you advertising? Make it happen, force it. So aggressive. It's so yucky. It makes the other person feel like a commodity, like they're a gallon of milk, that you're just going to pick them up whether they want to or not. It's gross. And we all do it. And we can stop doing it, right? Because we're smart like that. We can catch ourselves hitting ourselves in the head with a hammer and go, oh, well, I was just bitching at Marge about this. I guess I could lay my hammer down too. Huh. What do you know? The miracle of awareness. All right, here's my pitch for you doing a daily practice. Whether you believe me or not, 5 minutes sitting in silence a day, every day. It's cumulative. You got to do it. You got to commit to it, or you won't see the benefits. And the benefits might not come for months, but they will. They will come. 5 minutes committed in the mornings, just sitting in silence. You don't have to do anything. Isn't that crazy? Sit in silence for 5 minutes a day. What? I can't do that. Are you kidding? No. I'll be restless. No. I'll have to feel uncomfortable. No, I can't do that. Or we see how silly that is? I can't sit for 5 minutes a day. Oh, so sorry. Even the antsy people who need moving meditations can get 5 minutes of silence in a day. So the underlying thing of that is what, oh, sorry, I hit the microphone. What are you avoiding hearing? What are you afraid is going to happen if you have to dip below your thoughts for 5 minutes a day? What? Triple bad dream. That's what people think. It's a triple bad dream in my brain. If I sit down and listen to it, I might not like what I hear. All right. But a daily practice and awareness is the antidote to trying to get things and trying to make things happen and trying to force and claw and, hit yourself in the head with a hammer. All right, so can we stop doing that? Can we let our business off the hook? Can we just say, I do what I do because I fucking love it and I can't imagine ever not doing it. And if it makes me money, I'm going to, I'll do the study, I'll do the marketing stuff that feels good to me. I won't make myself be on Facebook if I don't like Facebook. If you're an anti-Facebook person, which a lot of us are getting there quick. If you love Twitter, hang out on Twitter. If you love Instagram, cool. If you don't like any of it, start going to meetup groups or Toastmasters or networking groups. Well, there's like 100 zillion ways you can do it. Don't do anything that makes you feel bad, because that's the hammering your own head thing, and it doesn't work. Plus, it's really painful, and why would you do that? We can all stop doing that now, okay? I'm giving you a permission slip. Put the hammer down, Marge. Put it down. Okay, I'm about to lose my voice, so think about that. Would you keep doing what you're doing if you're never going to make $1 off of it? And whatever the second thing was that I said. Whatever that second part was. And then third thing, please start a daily practice. Please start a daily practice. You won't believe in a year. We're about to come up on January 1st, so start 5 minutes in silence a day. You won't believe what you'll find. Yeah, there's some scary stuff in your brain pan, but there's some really cool stuff too. All right, the course that starts in January is open, from wounded to wise. Open for enrollment now. It's thatmichellewolf.com/9 centers, number 9 centers, CENTERS. The description's on the website. Read it, listen to the audio. I did an audio sales pitch for you. And if your body says yes, book a 15-minute call with me and let's talk about it. I've got people jumping in there already. And it's 6 months long. So you definitely want to trust your body's judgment on that. But it's already filling. I just opened registration early because people are already getting in there, wanting in there. And the soul of that group space is bigger than I've ever worked with before. So it's going to be a mind blower, I'm sure. So go check it out. And in the meantime, think less, feel more. I'll talk to you later.